Welcome back, everyone, to the Barely News Crew. I'm your host here, as always, Alexis, and I am joined here by Peter Martinez.
Hello.
We present to you another edition of the Marvel Project, and we have made it to the end of Phase 1 with perhaps the single most important film in the comic book franchise to date. This is Marvel's The Avengers. Marvel's The Avengers was released in May of 2012, if you can believe that. And it was the first film in cinematic history to feature characters pulled in from different movies.
I remember going to see this film. This was the single best movie experience I had.
Tell us about that, please.
It was a lot of fun. I've never been in a film where I was just grinning the entire time, like a huge old grin, and like the entire audience is right along there with you. I was like around like 20 kids like all around me. I don't know if it was like a birthday party or something. At first I thought, I was like, oh man, because before like they're talking. I was like, oh, I hope they're not talking the whole film. But it actually enhanced my experience, because it was really awesome seeing these kids just like looking over, and you can tell like they're having their minds blown and they're turning to their parents.
Because you were having your mind blown as well.
No, but it takes me back to, when I was a kid and I saw the first Spider-Man film. And I was right there with them, and I acted the exact same way. I was like, wow. I turn to my dad and I tell him something like, oh my God. And one of the kids, I saw him like, oh, it's the Hulk. And you walk out of the theater and kids are running everywhere and they're pretending to be Iron Man and Hulk. That was my experience watching the film.
Certainly, it goes without saying that this movie deserves that kind of appraisal. When that movie came out, it was all the rage. Like,
yeah.
You gotta think about, a movie has not hit like that at that particular time when droves and masses of people, and I believe at the time when it was released, it had the highest domestic opening weekend with about $207 million opening weekend. And I would hear stories from weeks and weeks after it had been initially released of people going and watching the movie 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Even I was pulled in to go seeing it because I wanted to see what it's about. At the time, I didn't care for Marvel. I didn't give a fuck about any superhero movies. I could hardly care. And then walking into this, I was like, you know what? This is a damn good movie. Now, I didn't love it the first time because I think I was only watching it as a casual moviegoer at that point in my life. Having gone back and seen the movies beforehand and then watching this movie, it was amazing. And every time I watch this movie, the better it becomes. And as we speak right now, it's kind of become that my favorite part of the movie is the middle section when they're all talking and plotting and dialoguing, if we can coin that term.
It changed the movie industry.
As much as Iron Man set up the notion of a cinematic universe, it was the Avengers that sealed the deal.
Yeah, for better or for worse. I want to believe it's a little bit for worse. After that movie proved that this whole movie universe cannot only be a success, but a rousing success. Right after that, every movie studio was like, what property do we have? What can we turn into cinematic our own?
I mean, the recent case, the Tumblr cinematic universe. The Warner Brothers Monster cinematic universe.
I think Joss Whedon was the perfect talent to put on for something such as the Avengers.
If not just for directing, but also, I think what I appreciate even more would be his dialogue.
Yes.
Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. You had introducing Mark Ruffalo as Hulk. Chris Evans as Captain America, and Chris Hemsworth as Thor, as well as Scarlett Johansson and Jeremy Renner. And not even to mention Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson, and Kobe Smulders as Maria Hill, her introduction in this movie, and even Tom Hiddleston as Loki. We have said this before, and we will say it many times again. They casted this movie, these characters in all of their movies, beyond excellence. Because what you see in this movie is the fruit of their labor coming together with the ingenious dialogue that Whedon has provided, with their acting chops, as you say. These characters interact with each other in a way that is beyond realistic, and you buy their situations. And what I really appreciate most about this movie that you really consider after watching it multiple times, every single Avenger has their own storyline. This is why this is the Avengers. It's like putting an Iron Man movie with a Captain America movie with a Thor movie, putting it all together and making it coherent and cohesive, and you love it. 5
main characters, put them in a movie, and each give them their own time.
It feel like they have their own time.
Yeah. Do not turn it into a cluttered mess.
Yes.
And they really could have done it. Could have fallen apart so easy. And I think that's why a lot of people praise Joss Whedon, because I think it really is, for the most part, on him that it works so well that you got a cohesive film with great dialogue with characters. And I mean, the story is really throwaway. It's just, Loki comes down, wants to destroy the Earth, and Avengers, we gotta stop him. Yeah. It's not the story so much, it's, how you tell the story.
And what new you bring into it.
Yeah, and with this movie was more about the characters and just watching them interact and come together. It was more of like a celebration.
Yeah, it's crazy good. Again, considering that, people had their doubts about this. It's like every step of the way through phase 1 of this cinematic universe, people have their doubts with Iron Man, with Hulk, Thor, Captain America. And once all those movies proved them wrong, they still had doubts about this movie. And what happened again? They were wrong.
Scarlett Johansson's Black
Widow. Oh
my
god, yes.
Because she's a lot better than Iron Man 2. Wow. I thought she was, her character was completely unnecessary.
Unnecessary
in Iron Man 2 and really bad.
Unnecessary.
I know. I'm bad with words. I'm sorry. But she's great in this film.
She is fucking amazing.
You get a character.
I go back to that scene where she's just trembling, sitting around, waiting for after the Hulk almost killed her. I mean, that brought a whole new level to this Black Widow. I think, look, Scarlett's an amazing actress, but I think it really took Joss to get that out of her for this particular character.
I just say he gave her more to do.
Well, yeah,
she gave her Hawkeye. I do think they kind of shortchanged in this film.
Yes, they did. They made up for it in the second one.
They definitely made up for it in the second one. But the first one, I think, because I read somewhere where they did, they counted how much screen time each character had, and he had the least.
Well, yeah.
And he also had really not much of a story. It's just he got
mind controlled.
It.
This movie was also a turning point for Steve Rogers' character. Yeah. He, for the first time, is questioning his superiors and what's going on around him. And when he digs up those old Hydra weapons, and when it was revealed that Nick Fury was planning...
Wait.
Yes? What happened?
Hail Hydra. That was stupid. I'm sorry.
That's something Kyle would do.
I know. I channeled Kyle.
Together. What the hell?
Okay, I'm sorry. We can cut all this out. Keep going.
I don't know. This is weird. I was kind of okay. It's gonna blow in my ear.
Oh my god! I'm spending too much time with Kyle.
When it was revealed that Nick Fury was going to use those Hydra weapons as a prototype for Phase 2, using the Tesseract, which was a big part of the story in the first place, as to making Nick Fury to be more shadier than he has been, was a big reveal for Steve. And then also with Tony, him having this whole arc in this movie about being who he is, and then at the end making that sacrifice play. Great.
Being the hero.
Yes. Yeah. The whole thing with Thor was his brother. And this was the last movie where it's he's trying to save him. Yeah. And after this, it's fuck you. Essentially.
Captain America's costume.
Oh, it sucks.
It is pretty bad.
It sucks. Look, I'm the biggest Captain America fan there is in our group, anyway. And let me see where.
Right there.
Yeah, right there. Oh, it's doable, but if we're being honest, it is by far the least impressive of the Captain America suits.
I gotta say, for me, it's the helmet.
Yeah.
It really, when he has it, that's why I think Joss Whedon knew that too, so every opportunity he had, he'd have him take it off.
And it is kind of silly.
It's really silly. It's really bulky.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's wearing a helmet.
Phil Coulson, he was the person that was set up to be avenged. And it's pretty it's a great move because Phil Coulson, I think, to a more personal extent than Nick Fury, has been kind of the tissue that has connected all of these heroes.
I think more so than Nick Fury. He's the one that's really popped up here and there in all these movies.
And he's gotten to know them quite well, especially he got to know Pepper certainly quite well when... Phil!
Yeah.
Since when is he Phil? His first name is Agent?
That's funny because now everyone knows him as Phil Coulson, but at that time he was always Agent Coulson.
Right. No, I think he was having 12% of the moment, if you recall that. Phil Coulson resonated so much. I mean, he has his own show. Oh, his own Marvel show. I mean, after he died, I mean, that shows, I think, how much fans loved Phil Coulson and how much, I guess, Marvel really appreciates Clark Gregg. And Clark Gregg has the time of his life doing this.
Oh, yeah.
It was a pretty big scene when he was killed by Loki.
Yeah. I felt a little...
of course, yeah.
The feels.
And the impact was there. Which is why I guess Joss was a little pissed off when they brought him back to life.
But why, though?
Because he thought that it lessened the impact of the movie.
But he was part of the series.
He produced the pilot. And his brother, I think,
and didn't he write the pilot as well?
Yeah, his brother Jed is the showrunner of that show. So.
I think he was just in a bad mood or something like that.
He had a bad knee. I guess we'll blame it on the...
We'll blame it on the knee.
Alvin Silvestri's score.
I wasn't focusing on the music, obviously. You know, you're looking at everything, the visuals, all the characters. But every time I've rewatched it, I've really grown to really like the Avengers theme. Dun, 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 dun.
You're really becoming Kyle.
I know I am. It's this chair. It's the chair. I think that's all it is. Oh, God. I'm going to start wearing rings.
Oh, my God.
Should I try doing a walking impression?
No, don't do that. No.
Just watch.
Anyway, I personally love this movie, and every time I see it, I get something new out of it. Case in point, it was only until my recent viewing that I realized that the reason why Steve gave $20 or $10 to Nick Fury on the helicarrier is because there was a bet made.
Oh, you didn't realize?
No, I didn't. I thought it was something else, and I was like, $10 says you're wrong about things getting weirder. Yeah. And it's so funny because at that point, I think what was so weird? Just the helicarrier?
Yeah.
And then you don't even count a whole alien invasion and an army from outer space and all these things. So I definitely love this movie, and we respect it so much because it single-handedly changed the industry for better and for worse.
It's the perfect popcorn film. It is something, I think it's really everything you want out of a popcorn.
Yeah. This is The Avengers. Thank you, Peter. I'm Alexis, your host here as always. And catch it here for the BNC, the place for all things movie news and reviews. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.